always ask me, do they need to hold on to these threads when they start to sew? And I'm going to show you where you don't have to do this. Maybe you saw grandma do it, so you thought that that's the way you always had to do it. But if your thread is down through the middle of the foot and to the back, that's the needle thread, and you're starting with the take-up lever at the highest position when you slide your fabric in, and the last thing is that you make sure you slide it in far enough that you start on fabric. Now you can still be really close to the edge as you start, but versus starting where there's no fabric underneath that first stitch. If there's fabric underneath that first stitch, watch, you do not have to hold those threads. Now why does that work? It works because when you get to the end of the seam, you get in the good habit of, number one, you're turning this hand wheel towards you, and you are bringing the take-up lever to the highest position, which is completing that stitch. So when that is at the highest position and you lift your presser foot up and pull your fabric out and cut it, when it starts again, it is at the beginning of the next stitch. What people run into when things don't go well, or why they feel like they have to hold the threads or otherwise they get all tangled, it's because, here, let me just stitch a little bit. And then I actually just randomly stopped, but you can see that the needle is up, but the take-up lever is not. And so if I pull it out now and cut the threads, the last thing it's doing is still pulling that thread up from the bobbin area to complete the last stitch. So we haven't finished that part when we're trying to start the next stitch. And that's when the thread comes flying out of the needle, and then you scream at your machine and go, "Why did you do that?" Well, as you realize, that's an operator error, and if you get in the good habit of finishing your stitch before you take it out, you will eliminate so many problems that people run into when using a sewing machine.